Welcome to daitaGRC. In today's demo, we'll walk through how to create and perform an operational audit using the Projects module. Let's get started. Click the Projects drop-down on the left-hand side of your screen. Click Projects. First, we'll create a new project. Click Create Project. Enter the basic details like name, description, owner, and location. For this demo, we'll use an existing project template created in a previous video. From the template list, select Operational Audit. For the purposes of this demo, we have completed these fields with some mock data. Once complete, click Create to create the project. Once the project is created, open the folder corresponding to the project location selected in the previous step. Click anywhere on our newly created project row to open the project. Let's begin the planning process. We'll start with the Project Details section. In Project Details, some fields are already populated from when we created the project. Now, let's add a project start date, anticipated end date, and budget for this project. Once these fields are filled out, click Save Changes in the top right corner. Next, we'll move to the Project Team Access section. Select Project Team Access in the Planning drop-down menu. Let's create a reviewer group for this example. Enter Reviewer as the name. Click the plus button to add team members. This opens a drop-down where you can directly select and add members to the project. Click the drop-down. Press Add to enter. Check the box next to any permissions you'd like to enable for any given group. For this example, we'll enable all permissions. Once the identified permissions have been selected, click Create. The reviewer group has been created successfully. Next, we'll move to the Scope section. Select the Scope, Controls, Framework Requirements, and Objectives tab in the Planning menu. The Scope, Controls, Framework Requirements, and Objectives section defines the scope and objectives for your compliance or control framework. At the top, you'll see the Scope section. Here, you can enter key details such as entity, location, business department, process, and the associated system or application. You can also set observation fiscal start and end dates to define the assessment timeframe. For the purposes of this demo, we have completed these fields with some mock data. Below the Scope section, you will find the Objectives section. Since this template includes objectives, status tracking is already enabled. You'll also find quick action buttons to import objectives, create groups, and create objectives. For this example, we'll import objectives using the provided template. Click on Import Objectives. Download the objective template by clicking the link, then fill it out with the objectives relevant to your project. For this example, we'll attach a pre-made template with mock data. Click Upload File, then select your objective template to upload the file to daitaGRC. After uploading objectives, we can move on to the Inherent Risk Assessment section. Select Inherent Risk Assessment. Here, you'll input your risk statement and assign a risk level. Click Save Changes. Next, we'll move to the Plan and Approach section. Here, you can organize the project into clear phases by adding phase names and defining their start and end dates. Select Plan and Approach. For this example, we will create a Plan, Test, and Review phase. Click the plus button to add the phases, as well as the phase start and end dates. Once the phases and dates have been populated, select Save Changes. Navigate to the Communication and Coordination section. Here, you can add members to a distribution list and designate contributors to the audit, helping streamline communication and collaboration. Click the plus button to add a member to the distribution list. Add a member. Click the plus button to add a member to the contributors list. Now we can save our changes. Next, let's move to the Deliverables section. Here, you can add key outputs for the planning section. Simply click the plus button to create a new deliverable. Provide a name, a brief description, and upload any supporting attachments. This helps keep all planning deliverables organized and easily accessible. Then, click Save Changes. The final step before completing the planning phase is the Approval section. Click Approval. Here, you can assign an approver, add any helpful comments for context, and click Submit for Approval to initiate the review process. We can see the approval request was submitted successfully. The approval request was approved by the appropriate approver successfully. Now, let's move on to the testing section. Select Tests. This is where we validate the objectives we uploaded earlier. Each objective will have its own set of work steps to complete. For each work step, enter key details like the result, date, initials, references, status, estimated hours, and any supporting files. This ensures thorough documentation of your testing process. Just below the work step, you'll find the section to add attachments. This helps maintain a clear audit trail. Once testing is complete, you can submit the objective for approval. Simply assign an approver, add any comments for context, and click Submit for Approval to move forward. Below the testing section, you'll find Sample Sets. Click on Sample Sets. This is where you document your sample selection for the audit. To create a sample set, enter a name and description, define the source, add a justification, and choose a sampling method. Then, input the total sampled and total population and upload any supporting attachments. This ensures transparency and accuracy in your sampling process. As this has been covered in other videos, we will skip adding a sample set today. For more on sample sets, please refer to our other training videos. Finally, click into the Approval section. This is the last step before completing testing. Here, you can assign an approver, add any helpful comments for context, and then click Submit for Approval to initiate the review process. The approval request was submitted successfully. The approval request was approved by the appropriate approver successfully. We also have a Findings section, where all issues identified during testing are compiled in one place. Click on Findings. Here, you can easily filter, search, and export a full list of issues. To add a new issue, click Add Issue in the top right. You can also use the search bar to quickly locate specific items. As this has been covered in other videos, we will skip adding an issue today. Let's move on to the Review and Approval section. Select the Review and Approval drop-down. Select My Submissions. This is your central hub for managing audit approvals. Here, you can review your own submissions, see items pending your approval, track outstanding approvals, and view the full approval history. This section ensures transparency and accountability throughout the audit. If you've made it this far, congratulations! We're almost done! The final step is the Project Closing section. Here you can upload any final attachments, add closing comments, and officially close the project. This wraps up your operational audit and ensures everything is fully documented. Thank you for joining us on this demo. To learn more about daitaGRC, contact info@datasoft.com.